Got him! There it is! Strikeout for the Burgers. 12-game winning streak. Awesome. Great way to start the show. So I'm rolling solo today. Jake's taking a day off, and nothing but W's to discuss today, which is always a great way to have a show. The Brewers just wrapped up win number 12 to get the free burgers for everybody that they missed out on in Seattle. They get it today, and just me today going through 7 Milwaukee Brewers games over the last week. I have the finale from the Brewers-Braves series in Atlanta. Then we have the sweep of the Mets and the sweep of the Pirates. So I'm going to hit the intro, and then we're going to talk baseball.
Welcome to another episode of the Wisco Fanatic Show, where we cover the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, and Badgers basketball and football teams from an optimistic and realistic perspective.
Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
Alrighty, so as I said, riding solo today. Jake's taking a day off, so I have 7 Milwaukee Brewer games to run through. All W's. I'm sure as people are filing into the show, I'm going to start seeing free burger comments in the comments section. But starting with the Brewers in Atlanta from last week, Wednesday. They had a night game on last Wednesday, which is kind of a rare thing. But Jose Quintana, after striking out Olsen on a really nice curveball, did allow a run on 2 soft opposite field hits to Ozuna and Murphy, 2 guys who are known for their powers, actually. There's one burger comment. Should keep it tally. Brewers bounced back to tie the game with 2 outs themselves. Blake Perkins did a nice job pulling a slider that was breaking in on his hands for a double. And for the second time this series, Bryce Terang ambushes the first pitch for an opposite field hit. This one ends up being a double, which not a strike. The pitch that there's another one, free burgers. The pitch that Bryce Terang hit for an opposite field hit was not a strike. That is a massive growth thing. We've talked about it a little bit on this show. The offensive growth of Bryce Terang, while he's regressed a little bit on defense, which, I mean, if you're the Platinum Glover, you are the best defender. So expecting literally the best defender in all of baseball, isn't always realistic, but he's going to have a shot at it. Brewers didn't get any runs outside of Terang, but lefties were spamming the right field line. Sal Frelick and Isaac Collins had a single and a double in the 3rd inning. Top of the 4th, Andrew Vaughn does it again. A 409-foot home run off of a slider. The same pitch that he struck out on in his first at-bat, extending his hitting streak to a dozen. And it came out during this game. It was more earlier in the day, but last Wednesday, that Andrew Vaughn is not only under control for this season and next season, but also the following season. So Andrew Vaughn is not going to be a free agent until 2028. So the Brewers have him for a long time. Also, in the top of the 4th, Blake Perkins became the second caught stealing of the game. I thought he might have been safe if the play was challenged, but could have produced a run on Siegler's single. This was the second time that the Brewers stranded second and third with 2 outs in just this game. Boyd said, it's an hour to any George Webbs. Excited for the Brew Crew. Been a fan since Yelt was a teenager. That's awesome. I'm in Sheboygan, so it's an hour for me, too, to get down to Milwaukee. So while I'm not myself going to be enjoying any burgers, I'm happy for everybody that gets to, and it's just another fun thing going along with this really fun season. Back to Brewers Braves from last Wednesday. The stranding the second and third with 2 outs, that's why I don't mind being aggressive. Obviously, you look at what makes the Brewers good. Isaac Collins and Christian Yelich in the top of the 5th inning of this game both had opposite field hits. Andrew Vaughn drives in another run with a tapper, and Blake Perkins hits his 3rd home run of the road trip to cap the Brewers scoring at 5 and end Strider's day. The bottom of the 5th, Jose Quintana had 1st and 3rd, nobody out, only allowed 1 run. In the bottom of the 6th, he allowed a 2-out solo, but finished 6 innings pitched with 3 earned runs, qualifies as a quality start. He did have a season-high 7 strikeouts and did not allow a walk, so that's good for Jose Quintana. At the bottom of the 9th, Trevor McGill did allow a solo home run, but a 2-run lead, not really a big deal. And, yeah, you look at it, Isaac Collins this game, top of the ninth, got his third hit and drew a walk. Isaac Collins was great. Sal Frelick was back in the lineup. He had two hits and a walk. So just a really good way for the Brewers to end a road trip. They're already at 5-0, and you look at it and you look at the Brewers, this could be kind of one of those like trap games, but the Brewers stayed with it and they were able to finish their road trip undefeated. Okay. Moving on, if I can. Got to get the banners to switch. Going to go into Brewers and Mets game 1 once I can get the banners to switch. There we go. Brewers and Mets game 1. Soto hit a super high solo home run to start the game into the beer pen in the top of the first. Top of the second, the first pitch of that inning was hit for a solo home run. Only allowed one more hit over the next 7 innings for Brandon Woodruff. I said it 2 weeks ago. I'm going to say it again. Maybe not going to ring quite as strong as his pitching today. But for him, with how efficient he was against the Mets in the first game of that series, I feel like he's going to throw a complete game before the season. I understand that they're going to monitor innings and things like that, but maybe it happens during the 19 games in 18 days stretch that's coming up. I feel like Brandon Woodruff has had so good efficiency that he's going to throw like an 8 or 9 inning game. I feel it. He only threw 79 pitches to finish 7 innings, and that was his longest outing since coming back from the injured list. This was also the largest crowd that the Brewers had during the season so far. And the offense, looking at the bottom of the third, a leadoff double by Caleb Durbin, and then he made the rookie mistake. We saw Churio do it earlier in the year, running to third base on a ground ball hit to the shortstop. Again, it's going to happen once in a while. It's a rookie mistake. It is what it is. After that, 3 straight fielder's choices, after the leadoff double, it is what it is. Just kind of one of those things where in the grand scheme of a large baseball season, stuff like that's going to happen. Bottom of the 5th, Blake Perkins ended up being ruled an error on Kodai Senga. I think it was more of an infield hit because I think even if Senga fields it clean, I don't know that he gets Blake Perkins at first base. Taylor, another burger time. That's 4 comments on the burgers. And then Bryce Terang on the first pitch again. It's a 424-foot home run. Insane. Ties the game at 2. They show Brandon Woodruff in the dugout, and to me, he looked relieved, like he was ready to get back out there in a 0-0 game, reset the game, and very exciting after that. The catcher's interference versus Sal Frelick after Joey Ortiz wiped out the fielder's choice. William Contreras drew a walk, and Kodai Senga was done for the day. Isaac Collins got hit by a pitch, gave the Brewers the lead at 3-2, ended up being the final score. Top of the 8th, Abner Uribe, his slider was on fire. He looked great with the slider. He did walk Lindor with fastballs, had 1 on with 2 out versus Soto, and got a 1-pitch ground out to end the inning. Top of the 9th, 2 quick outs for Trevor McGill was 0-2 to Starling Marte. Gave up a double into the right center gap, and then Jeff McNeil hits a single to center field, and Blake Perkins with an absolute cannon of a throw gets the out at home, ends the game. Everybody is fired up. Trevor McGill is losing his mind. Everybody is going crazy. Everybody's excited. The Brewers keep the winning streak alive with getting it out at home. Blake Perkins wants his Gold Glove. I know I put that out there after that game ended that way. He is the only player to end multiple games with an unassisted out at the plate for the third out. Only player ever to have 2 of them. He did it once last year against Cincinnati, did it once this year now, obviously against the Mets. Scott said this may sound weak, but I'm literally in tears. I've been a Brewers fan since 1980. All I can think about is Euchre. If you think about Euchre a little bit too much, you'll get choked up. It's absolutely understandable to get a little choked up when you think about how great the Brewers are playing right now, and then you start thinking about Bob Euchre. I got him. He's right here, right above me. I was able to get that autograph in 2018, and that's going to be hanging up behind me as long as this show is going, which ideally is forever. So I don't think it's weak. I think the Brewers are on their their best 3-month streak of franchise history. I don't think that's an exaggeration to say. I mean, the record proves it. Some of the stats prove it. I don't think it's weak to say at all, Scott. This game being decided by 1 run shows the importance of traffic. The Mets hit 2 home runs for 2-1 for the Brewers, and Milwaukee had a guy on base for theirs. That's the Mets didn't. Yes, I understand one of them was a leadoff home run, but that's the importance of traffic. Hitting solo home runs that can limit damage as long as you're not giving up home runs with guys on base, which is why we don't really get super worried about it when Freddie Peralta gives up home runs. But again, not a big deal. Brewers gave up 2 solo shots, still won 3-2. Okay, so Brewers-Mets game 2. Tobias Myers got a spot start for Jacob Mizorowski and Logan Henderson pitching in their spot. Both of them on what should be pretty short injured list stints. Boyd said 74 for him. Nice. Love that. Both Mizorowski and Henderson sounds like should have pretty short IL stints. I think this is also a way that the Brewers can kind of control their innings a little bit. So, there's Mizorowski got hit on the shin by a pitch. Logan Henderson was dealing with some inflammation in the arm. Those are just kind of things where Mizorowski, you wait for the bruise to heal, and Logan Henderson, you check to make sure there's no further damage or no risk for potentially further damage. And the Brewers have a depth of starting pitching. So they call Tobias Myers up, and he comes in, gets 2 strikeouts in the first inning. His slider looked really good. The top of the second, he did allow a solo home run to Pete Alonso, but as we just discussed with game 1, the solos don't hurt you too bad as long as you're keeping guys off base. Did allow the home run on a 1-2 pitch. Threw him a fastball, didn't quite elevate it enough. It was enough at the top of the zone that Alonso was able to hit it out. The Mets using an opener for Frankie Montas. In the bottom of the second, the Brewers making Montas throwing a ton of pitches. The opener pitched the first inning. Montas came in the second, threw a ton of pitches. Brewers had 2 singles and a walk by the bottom of the order, so good job by them. Joey Ortiz had a big chopper. Lindor trying to figure out where he was going with the ball. Before he had it, it bounces into center field and 2-run score. Really good at-bat by Joey Ortiz. That was a hit with 2 strikes. He's been really, really good lately. The month of August, he's been great even. Frankie Montas, the Brewers made him throw 60 pitches in the second and third innings. 60. That's the Brewers being grinders, woodpeckers, as they're becoming affectionately known. One of the things that I'm seeing thrown out is Murphy's Woodpeckers is going to replace Harvey's Wallbangers, and I'm here for it. Tobias Myers fought through some heat exhaustion after 4-pitch walk, 66 pitches total in 3 1/3 innings. He was taken out for Aaron Ashby. Allowed 5 hits, did have 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 3 earned runs after a wild pitch allowed both runners to advance, and then a bloop single got 1 in, and then a ground into double play by Francisco Lindor. Siegler did initially bobble the ground ball by Lindor, but recovered to feed Bryce Turang, who turned 2 insanely quickly. That's one of the things, again, doesn't really show up on a stat sheet for how quickly you can turn a double play, but a really good job by Bryce Turang to finish that one off. Scott said the Brewers have some decisions when Bowers and Hoskins come back and Chourio, but what a great problem to have. Absolutely. And they get an extra guy on the doubleheader day, so I would expect another pitcher probably added to that. Not that that really affects what they do with Bowers and Hoskins, but honestly, I think Hoskins becomes your backup first baseman, and you can leave one of them on the injured list as long as you need to, and let them get fully healthy. And then when the rosters expand, you can add another one. Chourio will be back, and that'll probably mean a little bit less time for a guy like Brandon Lockridge. But until then, Blake Perkins has filled in admirably for him. They can just let Chourio take his time. Brewers on a 12-game winning streak without him, they're doing all right. You just let Chourio take his time. Going to the bottom of the 4th inning, Bryce Turang, first pitch again. Hits a home run, ties the game at 3 at this point. Aaron Ashby did allow a solo shot in the top of the 5th inning, but the bottom of the 7th, Bryce Turang has an opposite field single. Joey Ortiz gets a ground rule double. Sal Frelick gets the contact play, hits a tapper, the contact play is on, Brewers score. We've had this conversation tons of times when it comes to the contact play. People like to complain about it when it doesn't work. Having a guy on third base running on contact. But we've said this over and over and over again. If you want to be aggressive, you have to be aggressive all the time. You have to commit to being aggressive. It doesn't work 100% of the time, because if it did, everybody would do it. So you have to be committed to being aggressive. You have to be able to take it in stride when it doesn't work. And obviously it's fun when it does. So that tied the game in the bottom of the 7th. And then Isaac Collins gets an in-between grounder. The third baseman bats it down for the boots it for the lead. William Contreras adds injury to illness. A pitch timer violation negated a flyout, and William Contreras turned into a 412-foot home run versus former Cardinal Ryan Helsley. Just adding injury to the illness. You get the error by the third baseman. You get a favorable call. I mean, it is what it is. That's a pitch timer violation. That's why it's there. And William Contreras turns a flyout into a 2-run home run, and that ends up being the deciding hit. Top of the 9th, Abney Uribe comes in, ho-hum, 3 strikeouts. Love to see it. Trevor McGill, after a 1-out single, Lindor should have struck out looking. I should specify that he should have struck out looking, because Trevor McGill did still strike him out, just got him swinging. And then struck out Soto also. So Trevor McGill gives up a 1-out single, strikes out Francisco Lindor, strikes out Juan Soto. Brewers win 7-4, and the streak is still alive. Go to game 3. This game was a little hairy. I'm not going to lie. This is where I thought the streak was going to end. 2 batters in, a hit by pitch, a hit by pitch, a stolen base, a single, and a stolen base, and the Mets were up 1-0 already. A walk to the third hitter, but Brewers were able to get a ground into a double play by Pete Alonso. Jeff McNeil did cash in a second run with 2 outs. Should have been 0-2 pitch, but was a 1-1 pitch. That's a tough spot. That's a big difference. People don't really give quite enough credit to what different pitch counts do to the approach of both the pitcher and the hitter, especially depending on where the strike zone is going. We talk about it not often, but we talk about it enough that the difference between 0-2, 1-1, 2-1, 1-2, those are all big differences in the approach by the pitchers and the hitters. So that's why I bring it up. Top of the 2nd, a leadoff home run, another solo home run, makes it 3-0, just through the first time through the order. So the first 9 batters versus Quinn Priester, and the Mets were up 3-0. Bottom of the 2nd inning, Brandon Lockridge put together a really good at-bat, fouled off 5 pitches of a 10-pitch at-bat before a deep fly out to the warning track. I said it when they acquired him. I said it. I'm going to say it again. I think Brandon Lockridge has some sneaky pop. I don't know that I'm counting on him to be a power guy in the way that the Brewers are with Danny Jansen, and that was like a big motivator for why they acquired him. But I think Brandon Lockridge has some pop. I think he's going to hit a few homers before the year is over. Top of the 3rd, Mets added another run. Top of the 4th, they added another solo home run, and the Mets were up 5-0 through 3 innings. And I'm like, all right, maybe the Mets are just trying to salvage a game because they're in the throes of the wild card as well. But bottom of the 4th, William Contreras got the Brewers on the board with a solo shot. 2 days in a row with a home run, and then the Brewers loaded the bases for Joey Ortiz again. Joey Ortiz leads Major League Baseball in at-bats with bases loaded, which is wild, but I mean, more power to him. With 2 outs, and he delivered on the 30th pitch of the inning, hit a single between the shortstop and the second baseman to make it 5-3, and here we are. I was a little bit surprised that the Mets let Manaea come out for the bottom of the 5th, but I'm glad they did. Brewers put a little bit of pressure on the Mets at the top of the 5th inning. They scored. They had a single, a sac fly, and a bloop double, made it 6-3. No clean innings for Quinn Priester. He was done for the day before McNeil. And not at all worried about Quinn Priester. He's been borderline dominant in his previous 10 starts. And obviously we know that the Brewers still win this game, so that doesn't make it sting quite as much. But if somebody's going to be like, oh, Quinn Priester gave up 6 runs in his last outing, I'm not worried because his previous 12 outings, he's been, like I said, dominant. So going to the Brewers, bottom of the 5th, a new pitcher, William Contreras, hits his third home run in 4 at-bats at this point. His second of the day, cuts the lead to 1. Andrew Monasterio missed the game-tying home run by a couple feet. But bottom of the 7th, Siegler pinch hitting for Derman, gets a leadoff single, put the tying run on base. Isaac Collins had a fielder's choice. And then with William Contreras hitting a single, goes first to third. Great hustle by Isaac Collins to get to third base. Andrew Vaughn then grounded into a double play. Is what it is. Bottom of the 8th, Bryce Durang batting for Blake Perkins. Drew a walk. Sal Frelick batting for Andrew Monasterio. Had a flyout. And then Danny Jansen rips a single. Joey Ortiz with 2 outs, 2 strikes, hits an opposite field single. And then Diaz, the first pitch, wild pitch, is what it is. Nick Mears comes in, gets a 1-2-3 inning, and this ends with Isaac Collins, who was named the Rookie of the Month for July. Very exciting stuff for him, and he's done nothing but hit since. And Isaac Collins gets his first home run at American Family Field, and it's a walk-off home run. And you get an awesome call from Brian Anderson, who says our streets are underwater, but the Brewers are on top. Amazing call from Brian Anderson. And the thing that I have to bring up with this game is DL Hall in relief of Quinn Priester and the rest of the Brewers pitching staff. DL Hall was fantastic in this game. It's so underrated for him to come into a game where the starting pitcher got shelled a little bit and to come in and be able to pitch the way that he did and to keep the Brewers afloat for those few innings that he pitched. That's another one of those things where, like, the Brewers are lucky. The Brewers are lucky to have the depth that they have at pitcher, to have a starter, 2 starters, if you think of him and Ashby out there, and now Tobias Myers being the third. Starters out in their bullpen that they can employ in a situation like this where the starter goes a little bit shorter of a day, and now you can have a middle reliever that can give you 3 innings. That's such a luxury. Not every team has that. Most teams would be lucky to have one guy like that. Otherwise, they're going to use a guy like Grant Anderson, who's going to hopefully give you 2 innings, maybe 3, and then you have to shut him down for 3 days. The Brewers have 2 starters out in their bullpen, the lefties at least, who are very, very good. And their impact should not be understated between DL Hall and Aaron Ashby, and then a little bit of back and forth with Tobias Myers, who did give the Brewers an inning today. So going into the Brewers-Pirates series, starting with Jose Quintana facing one of his former teams, had a 1-2-3 first inning, had a 1-2-3 second inning, and gave up a leadoff solo in the third. Was on the outer third, a sinker. It was hit into right field. Not a bad ball. Nothing wrong with that pitch. Single and an error by the left fielder. I think it was Collins on that day. To start the third inning, and Jose Quintana got a fly out to center field, got a strikeout looking, and a fly out. So that was a good recovery by him. Yep, riding solo today. Jose Quintana in game 1 against the Pirates on Monday threw 89 pitches to go 6 innings. 24 of his 89 pitches were called strikes or whiffs. That's 27% of the pitches that he threw on Monday being called strikes or whiffs. So a good outing for him on Monday. Bryce Durang did a good job getting ahead 3-1 and did not miss a middle sinker. A one-hitter leadoff home run, obviously 1-0. Brewers sent 7 men to the plate and made the Pirates starter throw 31 pitches in the first inning on Monday. Bottom of the third, William Contreras rips another hard lineout. That was a 104.5 off the bat. I'm going to give the stats from before and after when we said he was looking really good. Christian Yelich jumps on a first pitch curveball for a home run, 104.7 off the bat. If you hang a breaking ball to Christian Yelich, he will hit it out. So I think I said that last week. It might have been last week or the week before. Don't hang breaking balls to Christian Yelich. Or do. I had to wear the Yelly jersey today for Christian Yelich because he's just hitting dingers. If you hang a breaking ball to Christian Yelich, he's going to hit it out. Then, in a weird role reversal between Christian Yelich and Andrew Vaughn, not that Andrew Vaughn doesn't hit home runs, but Andrew Vaughn gets an infield single up the middle. Good hustle for him to get on base. Caleb Durbin bunted him over to second. great barehand play by Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Credit where it's due. Made a great barehanded play to get Durbin at first base. And then Sal Frelick singled him in. And Sal Frelick, good hustle to get to second base on the throw home. The throw goes into the outfield, and Brandon Lockridge scores. 3 straight 2-out singles, a stolen base, and an error to plate 2 additional runs after the Christian Yelich home run. That's the Brewers stacking traffic. They did more of it in the bottom of the 4th inning. Isaac Collins had a double. William Contreras had a single. And then with 1 out, Andrew Vaughn bunts in a run. We are officially in the territory of the Brewers are doing so many things right, and everybody is so bought in to doing their part that our insane trade acquisition has bought into bunting in a run. Literally at the point where where our arguably best power hitter is bunting in runs, making it 6-1 against the Pirates at this point. Bottom of the 6th, Isaac Collins had a leadoff triple scored by William Contreras, who hit another rocket of a single, 101.4 off the bat. He is mashing the ball lately. Top of the 7th with 1 out and a man on first. Tapper in front of the plate. Instead of taking the easy out at first, William Contreras goes to second, and Bryce Terang is able to twist the double play by a hair. The Brewers are up 7-1 at this point, and still playing elite defense. For the Brewers to be in the position that they are coming into this series, best team in baseball, best record in baseball, best run differential in baseball, they're starting to get a pretty fair amount of national attention, which is absolutely due to them. And they're up by 6 runs in a game, and they are still just laser focused, locked in on defense. It's so impressive, and it's one of those things that should not be understated. Top of the 9th, Shelby Miller comes in, gets a 1-2-3 game, ends on a tapper. He jumps off the mound to make the play at first base, and like I said, everybody's bought in. This ended up being the 10th game of the winning streak. 2 10-game winning streaks had not happened at this point since 2019. That was the 2019 Houston Astros. Then, go to last night's game. The game started actually the exact same way that Game 1 did, with a 1-2-3 first, a leadoff home run in the bottom of the first, and a 1-2-3 second. Last night, it was Sal who hit the leadoff home run off of Paul Skeens. So for Paul Skeens, he had gone 24 straight starts without allowing a first-inning run until last night. 24 straight starts was the second longest streak in Major League Baseball. The only streak longer was 27 in 1923. And the Brewers broke that. The Brewers were fairly patient in the first inning, sent 5 guys to the plate, made Skeens throw 25 pitches, and it was the first run, like I said, that Skeens had allowed in the first inning. Bottom of the 3rd, Sal Frelick draws a 1-out walk. Pretty good at-bat by him, and it's not going to shock anybody to say a good at-bat by anybody on the Brewers because they're all putting together really good at-bats. William Contreras hits a 2-out double, 107.6 off the bat to the right center gap. Sal Frelick scored both of the first 2 runs for the Brewers. Christian Yelich has an 8-pitch at-bat, draws a walk. Andrew Vaughn put one in the gap, but O'Neal Cruz ran it down. I like O'Neal Cruz. He's really good. Like I said, I'm going to give credit where it's due. Tim said, happy birthday, Tyler. It's good to catch the show. I hope you are having a great day. Hey, doing the show and talking about the baseball and the Brewers winning a shit ton of baseball games. So that's fun. Bottom of the 4th, Bryce Terang goes from 0-2 to 3-2 and then unloads an absolute nuke of a home run. 107.8 off the bat, 435 feet. Just an absolute missile by Bryce Terang. His 4th home run in the last 5 games. And one of those games he didn't even start. He would 1 at bat in Game 3 against the Mets, and he drew a walk. So 4 home runs in his last 4 starts coming into today. But Bryce Terang, great at the plate. Only the 3rd time in Paul Skeens' 48 starts that he's allowed multiple home runs. And then with 2 outs, Joey Ortiz has a bloop double, and Sal drives in his 2nd run of the game with a single up the middle. And Skeens needed 93 pitches to finish 4 innings. The previous Freddie Peralta, the opposing Freddie Peralta, 5 innings pitched. He was through 5 innings pitched in the next half inning with just 64, had only allowed 1 hit to that point. Christian Yelich later on joined Bryce Terang in back-to-back days with a home run. William Contreras drew a walk to lead off the bottom of the 5th, and Christian Yelich goes to left field, a 104.8 mile an hour exit velocity, 408-foot home run. Top of the 6th, the Pirates, 1-out single is just the second hit allowed that Freddie Peralta allowed last night on the 69th pitch of the game. He finished 6 scoreless innings, only allowed 1 walk, had the 3 hits, and then had 7 Ks. A very, very Freddie Peralta start. Bottom of the 6th, Blake Perkins is a leadoff single. Joey Ortiz hits a tapper to the pitcher. The throw to second is dropped by Gonzalez, who I don't feel bad for because he killed the Brewers the last time in late June that the Brewers played the Pirates. He had 6 hits, 2 doubles, had a home run, 5 RBI in that series. So don't feel bad for Nick Gonzalez for making an error on that. Sal Frelick drew a walk to load the bases with nobody out for Isaac Collins, who hit a sac fly to make the game 7-0. William Contreras stays hot with a single, making it 8-0. Christian Yelich rips his 3rd hit of the night, makes it 9-0. And Andrew Vaughn empties the bases with a 440-foot home run, 109.4 mile an hour exit velocity, 3-run home run to make it 12-0. And at this point, the vibes are just amazing, like immaculate vibes. Like we have to come up with something else. People are saying it all over the place that there are not words to describe where we are at with the Brewers, and being up 12-0 on the Pirates last night. There's few ways to describe it. I've been saying this to people that we are in like the best 2-month, maybe 3-month stretch of Brewers baseball and franchise history. We are really, really trying to impress on people to enjoy what is happening, to not worry about the future, enjoy the present because the present is fucking awesome. Bottom of the 8th, Pirates had a position player on the mound, but they said it on the broadcast. The stats still count. Caleb Durbin hit a 2-run home run off the position player. That makes 8 out of 9 starters with hits. And then the top of the 9th, the Brewers put a position player on the mound. No Cy Bauer is available, so Anthony Siegler is pitching. And William Contreras playing first base. That's officially the territory that the Brewers were in the top of the 9th inning last night. Anthony Siegler pitching and William Contreras playing first base. Brewers winning 14-0 last night, made 2 11-game winning streaks. That is the first time in the big leagues since the 2015 Blue Jays, and the first time in the National League since 1935 that a team had 2 3-game winning streaks in the same season. Then we go to today. The Brewers are playing for burgers. The reason that the show started a little bit late, because this game ended up being a 3-hour game. Used to be the norm, but now they usually run a little bit closer to 2 hours. But we were going to start the show when the Brewer game ended, no matter when it was. If you caught the very, very beginning of the show, you got to see me react to the 3rd out. And this one started a little interesting. Brandon Woodruff allowed 2 base runners in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Stranded them all. Top of the 1st with 2 outs, runners on the corners. Got a ground ball at the middle off of Brandon Woodruff's glove. And Joey Ortiz, the first of what I would say 2 web gems today. A great play by Joey Ortiz to wrangle the ball off of Brandon Woodruff's glove and make the throw to first. Wes said everyone is locked. LOL. Locked in. Historic run we're seeing for the Brew Crew. It absolutely is. It absolutely is, Wes. Brandon Woodruff, first 2 innings, the velocity was down. It could be a fatigue thing because, Brandon Woodruff has really not pitched since 2023. But could just be kind of a thing, just Brandon Woodruff just didn't have the best velocity today. If I pull up, looking at it, the curveball was down. He had only thrown a couple at that point, and the fastball was down by like 2 miles an hour on average. So nothing crazy, nothing that I'm like worried that he's going to be, hurt or anything like that. Nothing like that. But you end up being in a position where 3rd inning, 2 out, 2 on, got down 2-0, came back to get 2 beautiful changeups, and then a painted fastball to get a strikeout looking to end the inning. Top of the fourth, gets a 9-pitch 1-2-3 inning, ends with Brandon Woodruff covering first base on a ground ball between Andrew Vaughn and Bryce Durang. Good job by Brandon Woodruff to get over to first base, and that was it for him for the day. His pitch count was a little high at 65. I'm not saying it's high for like his total outing, but to be through 4 innings at 65 pitches is a lot. It's about 16 pitches an inning. And I will say this, you might as well use the bullpen today. Brewers have a day off tomorrow, and then 19 games in 18 days. So, Nick Mears and Jared Koenig got the pitch today. Abner Uribe and Trevor McGill ended up not being needed. But getting those guys a little bit of work before a day off tomorrow, because after tomorrow, there is no day off for the rest of the month. And then I believe they have one day off, and then I think they have another 12 games in a row without a day off. So enjoy the day off tomorrow, Brewers, because it gets tight after this. So I'm glad they've built a lead up and are ready to go for the stretch. Shelby Miller came in, not his best outing, I would say. Had a single and a walk to start. Got looked at by the trainers a little bit. The tying run came up to the plate and happened to be Brian Reynolds, who is good. He's a former All-Star. He's good. And then in the top of the sixth, got another one. This one was a 2-run home run off of Nick Mears. Made the game 6-5. So the Brewers score 6 runs. The Pirates score 5 runs. And then the Brewers score another 6. Jared Koenig came in to pitch the 7th. Joey Ortiz got another web gem to start that inning off. And we're good. Offensively, the Brewers scored 6. The Pirates scored 5 unanswered, and then the Brewers scored another 6. The bottom of the second, the Brewers' first hit is a rocket double by Andrew Vaughn to dead center, 105.7 off the bat on the 9th pitch of the at-bat. I brought this up last week. The league average for pitches per plate appearance is 3.86. So essentially 4 pitches per at-bat is the league average. For Andrew Vaughn to be getting into 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pitch at-bats, the pitcher gets to a point where it's like, I don't know what to throw to get this guy out. That's what's making Andrew Vaughn good. His plate discipline, his pitch selection, what he's swinging at. That's what's making Andrew Vaughn so good since coming over to the Brewers. This at-bat today, again, it just goes to show exactly what Andrew Vaughn is doing. The bottom of the third inning, Anthony Siegler gets a single up the middle. Good hustle. Again, just doing little things. They keep saying it on the broadcast, but hustling out of the box, rounding first base wide. When you see the center fielder bobble the ball, taking off for a second. That's not luck. It's not lucky that the Brewers saw the Pirates commit an error. It's not lucky for the Brewers that they were able to get an extra base. That's Anthony Siegler hustling out of the batter's box to get around first and to be able to put himself in a position to take advantage of an error. That's not luck. That's hustle. Joey Ortiz put together a good at-bat. It did end in a ground out, but it did get Siegler over to third base. Sal Frelick jumps on the first pitch, gets a single up the middle. Isaac Collins and William Contreras both had full counts. Collins struck out. Contreras drew a walk. Christian Yelich, first pitch, RBI single. Varying these at-bats it's got to be so uncomfortable for a pitcher. You get no feel. You get no comfort in thinking like, oh, they're trying to jump on the first pitch. I'm going to throw, a pitch low and away to see if I can coax a swing out of guys trying to be aggressive. Or the reverse of guys are being super patient. I can throw a first pitch strike. I can throw, a bit of a meatball to get ahead in the count. The Brewers in this inning had a 3-pitch single by Siegler, a 3-2 ground out on 6 pitches, a first pitch RBI single, a 8-pitch at bat for Collins to strike out, a 6-pitch at bat for William Contreras to draw a walk, and then a first pitch RBI single. Varying that up, it's what the Brewers are doing. It's just another one of those things that explains how the Brewers are doing what they're doing. They are making it so uncomfortable to have to try to go through the Brewers' order. we've had a ton of games over the last couple of weeks where, there's long at-bats, and then guys are jumping on the first pitch after an 8-9 pitch at-bat because the guy wants to get ahead in a count. Terang's been doing it. Frelick's been doing it. Yelich was doing it today. It's again, it just goes to make your opponent uncomfortable. And it's everybody. It's 1 through 9 plus the guys on the bench. Like, everybody is bought into making the opponent's pitching uncomfortable. And it's why they're averaging over the homestand. I wanted to say it was like a little over 8 runs a game. That's absurd. The league average is around like 4-ish. And the Brewers in their last 65 games, whatever, it's 54-19, so 73 games, they're averaging over 5.5 runs a game, closer to 6 runs a game, because everybody in the lineup is doing their part. Everybody in the lineup is bought in. It's not 3 top-heavy MVPs at the top of your order, and then your 6 through 9 hitters are like, okay, I'll be glad if they don't strike out. The Brewers have a ton of grinders. Again, that's where the Murphy's Woodpeckers are going to replace Harvey's Wallbangers. We're here for it. Bottom of the 4th, Blake Perkins drew a walk. Joey Ortiz on a 2-2 count, 5th pitch to at bat, pulls a single to make it 3-0. And after 5 pitch at bat by Joey Ortiz, Sal Frelick jumps on the first pitch, rips a double, makes it 4-0. Isaac Collins follows with a 3rd straight 2-out hit, makes back-to-back doubles with an opposite field double, 5-0. William Contreras on the first pitch makes it 4 straight hits with 2 outs, makes it 6-0. Going into the bottom of the 6th, like I said, the Pirates had cut the lead to 1 at one point. Joey Ortiz and Sal Frelick both had really good at-bats to work walks to get on base. Isaac Collins bunts them over, and then William Contreras gets an opposite field hit down the right field line, makes it 8-5, and you see William Contreras, he's got to feel like he's just looking down the Grand Canyon, seeing how far off of the right field first baseline that the Pirates first baseman was playing, and just shoots the ball down the line. That's great work by William Contreras. That's the opposite field approach. Again, I'm going to give some numbers from when we had a particular thing to say about William Contreras from the before and after from when we said what we said. Bottom of the 7th with 1 out, Blake Perkins had a single, stole second. Anthony Siegler drew a walk. Joey Ortiz gets a single up the middle with 2 strikes. So good job by him. Makes it 9-5. Anthony Siegler and Joey Ortiz both advanced. Caleb Durbin did come in for Anthony Siegler at that point to run for him. Looked like maybe his wrist got bent a little weird on the tag to third. So hopefully Siegler is okay. Sal Frelick drew a walk on 5 pitches to load the bases for Isaac Collins, who flew out and set the table for William Contreras to draw a bases-loaded walk to make the game 10-5. Now, again, Brewers thankfully didn't have to use Abner Uribe or Trevor McGill, so they get a nice long layoff because we're going to need them for the upcoming stretch. The Brewers are off tomorrow, like I said. Then they play 19 games in 18 days. They play 3 at Cincinnati starting on Friday. They have a doubleheader in Chicago on Monday. They will have 1 game in Chicago on Tuesday. So 3 of those, that's going to be the first 3 out of the 5 of that series. That's also going to include Wednesday night's game and Thursday's game. So we are going to have the first 3 games of that Cubs series as well as the 3 games against Cincinnati. Now, if I can pull this up, if I can pull it up, I want to bring up the numbers that we had from William Contreras. So Wednesday, June 18th, we had a show, as we do every Wednesday, and we talked about William Contreras, his approach being better, him hitting the ball harder, using the opposite field, all of the things that you want to see William Contreras doing. That was on June 18th. We had that discussion based on a game from the Brewers and Nationals series that was being played. The first game of that series was on June 16th. That was when we noticed that William Contreras was starting to look better, and we pulled the numbers through from the beginning of the season to June 18th, that show, and then from June 18th to now. And these numbers are eye-opening. And just going to throw a little pat on the back to us, toot your own horn a little bit. Jake and I, we were on this, and the numbers show it. And you can go back and review the film. We can post the clip. Proof is there. Before June 18th, William Contreras was batting .237, had a .346 on base, a .347 slug, and a .693 OPS. This was in 68 games. He had 31 RBI, 6 home runs, and 9 doubles since June 18th. And this does not include today's game either, because this was coming into today. Since then, 45 games, he's batting .291, a .374 on base percentage, a .458 slug, and an .832 OPS. William Contreras is officially back. He has 24 RBI in 23 fewer games, has 7 fewer RBI than he did in the bigger stretch, matched the 6 home runs, and has 12 doubles. So in 23 fewer games from the beginning half of the season to where we are now, 23 fewer games from that chunk to this chunk, he has 7 fewer RBI, 3 more doubles, and the same number of home runs in those 2 stretches. And like I said, I just got to pat Jake and I on the back for it, for this being something that we noticed and pointed out, and just want to give us a little bit of credit for it, because I think we do a good show. There's a lot of stuff coming out these days from a certain 4-letter network that has begun to focus on engagement and clickbait, and it sucks because that particular network was a large inspiration into Jake and I wanting to start a show like we have now. It's very unfortunate that the quality of said network has gone down so much that people are really starting to call it out. And even the Wisconsin ones, unfortunately, are kind of more of a symptom of the larger disease. Seeing people calling Jordan Love injury prone, like it's really where we're at. So we are going to continue trying to put together quality, trying to give good recaps of these games, give good insight into things that happen in these games, and trying to keep putting out good content and making good posts. We've been focusing a lot on Facebook and Twitter lately. We'd like to get going more on TikTok and stuff like that, but just focusing on the Facebook and Twitter, and obviously on the live shows on Wednesdays. So thank you for everybody for tuning in. Thank you for the birthday wishes. And if you are in the Milwaukee area or near a George Webb, enjoy the burgers. Go Brewers. Hopefully the streak never ends and the Brewers go all the way to the World Series. But regardless of what happens in the future, enjoy the now, because the now is a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.